Greetings, bunnies and Pegasus, this is the Watchful Pony here, and welcome back to Watchful's Watchings. And for today's episode, looks like we're getting a Fluttershy-centered episode. A rather interesting place considering the character, as Fluttershy is a fairly hard character to write for. Not only that, but this episode's also being written by G.M. Burrow herself, the writer of the Daring Do books, who has not had the best track record as far as Pony goes. I mean, yes, he's only had one episode, but that one episode was the one with Pinkie Pie Nose, so yeah, I don't like that episode. And apparently I'm in a minority there, as most people seem to like that episode. And hey, look, if you like it, then like it. I'm not gonna stop you from that. And heck, who knows, maybe that was just her having a bad day. So is this a better episode than her introduction? Well, let's take a look at Fluttershy Leans In and find out.
Hands up, yeah. Everybody know, let me see the hands up. That's right. Everybody know, let me see the hands up. Right. Everybody home, let me see the hands up. Right now, hands up.
Our episode begins with Angel Bunny performing some hardcore parkour. Interesting opening. And he ends up injuring himself. No doubt facing karma for his actions in putting your hoof down. As much as I appreciate from the writers, it's getting a little bit old. The guy's kind of not deserving it anymore. Keyword being kind of, as he deserves it a little bit. But as they arrive at the vet, it turns out the veterinary is overwhelmed with sick animals. Or more specifically, they're either recovered enough or perfectly fine, but just got a little too comfortable. And honestly, so far, we're off to a good start. I'm not even joking, this setup is actually very good. It's setting up a good conflict for Fluttershy while at the same time setting the basis of the story. Honestly, we're barely even past the intro and so far the episode has a very solid base. Then after a pretty funny joke we find out that this whole conflict may have been caused by Fluttershy's kindness. We then find out that Fluttershy is going to help the vet by building an animal sanctuary. And that it's also apparently been a dream of hers her entire life. You know what, I kinda like that. Fluttershy is one of those characters that doesn't really have a future goal to achieve and is just happy where she is. Very much like Pinkie Pie and Applejack. So I kind of like that detail, it's very realistic and makes Fluttershy's character much more three-dimensional. Then again, Z's always been three-dimensional, but okay, you get my point. Point is, I like the addition. But anyway, since Fluttershy is just one little pony, C needs some help for this. And rather than the main 6 helping, they realize they have some experts. And they are a construction worker, a wrangler, and an interior decorator. One of these things is not like the other. Okay, seriously, I absolutely see the need for a construction worker, and I kind of get a wrangler, but why the hell do we need an interior decorator? We need a freaking landscaper. Or literally anyone whose profession isn't decorating indoors, not outdoors. I almost think Rarity did this on purpose because he doesn't want to work at all. Get off your diamond-studded plot and do some work, you marshmallow. I'm sorry, I kind of went off tangent there. Where was I? Oh right, the experts. So Fluttershy shows them their Pinterest board with some fairly decent ideas on what she wants for the preserve, and uses systematic cuteness to convince them to help, with help from a butterfly. Actually, come to think of it, every time Fluttershy either gives a grand speech or acts really cute, butterflies just appear out of nowhere. You know, writers, Joss was joking when he called Fluttershy a Disney princess. He didn't mean that literally, and for you to actually go through with that. No, but seriously, I know butterflies are Fluttershy's mark, but I can't be the only one who finds this just the tiniest bit weird, right? Anyway, Fluttershy leads them to where she wants the preserve to be and points out exactly what she wants and what ideas she has. However, the experts deliberately go against her and decide that they know what's best, not her. Well, except for the wrangler, who looks less like she's going against what Fluttershy wants and more just has no idea what to actually do. Which actually leads to one of my favorite moments in the episode, when Fluttershy goes apeshit. Fluttershy finally snaps and calls out all the experts for their actions, and it is glorious in more ways than one. Firstly, in the context of the episode, it just feels nice. It feels cathartic as all hell to see these experts get called out for their actions. Secondly, it's also kind of funny to see them try to justify their actions horribly. To be fair, that's always just funny to see someone who's obviously done wrong go, wait, hang on, let me explain, and obviously have no idea how the hell to actually defend themselves. And thirdly, Fluttershy is the one that stands up to them. Fluttershy. Earlier in the episode, we get from Fluttershy that she's very grateful that her friends have helped her be more assertive. And this perfectly shows how far her character has come in that regard. When Fluttershy said baby steps in Philly Vanilli, she wasn't kidding, cause 3 seasons later and she's already way more assertive than she's ever been in her entire character arc. If this is the Fluttershy we're gonna get from now on, I wholeheartedly welcome it. No longer the shy, awkward pony who could barely hold a conversation with one pony, she's now able to stand up and be assertive for herself without the help of anyone anymore. I'm not ashamed to admit that after taking her whole character into consideration, Fluttershy now has a lot more respect for me as a character. But anyways, she ends up firing the experts, the building that they made tumbles down, and Fluttershy decides that he's gonna try again, this time without the experts. Now I've heard some people have had issues with what Fluttershy says here, that basically doing any big project without an expert is basically asking for trouble. While I can certainly agree with that sentiment, it doesn't really bother me because it works in the context of the episode. While these people were experts, they did nothing but go against Fluttershy's vision even though it didn't seem that complicated. Now if they had said tried to come up with a compromise or something like that and Fluttershy freaked out and fired them, then I'd be right there with people who had trouble with this scene. But also, it's not like Fluttershy is disregarding experts altogether, just those experts. She still relies on one expert, but it's an expert she can actually trust. And that expert is in the form of a very unexpected but welcomed cameo from Granddaddy McColt himself. I'm serious, I was not expecting this at all, but it is very welcomed and very pleasing to see him again. And it's a nice callback to the episode in more ways than one, as the episode did state that the McColts were expert builders. So it would make sense that Fluttershy would help bring him on to help construct the paradise. But before we continue some more, I want to backpedal a little tiny bit to this scene where Fluttershy stands up to her friends. Once again, it does a great job at showing how far Fluttershy's character has truly come, able to stand up for herself without coming off as a jerk. And does the whole thing while a sloth is hugging her hind leg. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna say it. That sloth is my official favorite thing about this episode. God, do I love that sloth. I have no idea why I love that sloth so much. Maybe it's just the fact that sloths are automatically hilarious, doubly so if they're animated. Maybe it's just the fact that it hangs on Fluttershy throughout all of the scenes it's in. Maybe I'm just a sucker for how cute they are. But whatever it is, I just love that sloth. And then we get to the part of the episode I've been dreading having to talk about. The moral. Yeah, apparently I found out after listening to Roundtable is Magic that apparently there's quite a bit of uproar about the moral in this episode. Okay, don't get me wrong, it's not feeling Pinky Keen levels of uproar, but it's still there. Well, apparently quite a few people have a problem with the moral of the episode, and heck, some people go as far as to outright denounce and deny the episode is good simply off that alone. And guys, I'm just gonna be totally honest, while I respect the people who think that, I don't get it at all. Okay, well, I'll concede that the moral could have been worded better, and I'll definitely give you that as far as negative points towards the episode. I think it's a bit of an overreaction to call the whole episode terrible off of that, or at the very least downgraded enough based off that. At least with Feeling Pinky Keen, I can get why people were up in arms about the moral, because even though it was unintentional, there was some very heavy subtext about science versus religion. But here, all Fluttershy really is doing is saying that you should try and achieve your dreams. Does it not really work in the context of the episode? Could have been worded better? Yeah, of course, but to discredit the whole episode off a moral that obviously means well, I'm sorry, but I don't see what the big deal is. And before I get a million comments, oh, what about the children? What if they misinterpret this? Okay, look, I get that argument, but allow me to offer up a counter argument in the form of a question. Name one child, adult, or anybody past, present, or future that fell for that wish upon a star bull crap. I'm willing to bet you $100 you can't think of anything. You wanna know why? Because purely and bluntly as possible, kids aren't stupid. Don't get me wrong, they're naive and they're impressionable, but they're not stupid. I honestly think children are much more smarter than we give them credit for. Can they do some stupid things sometimes? Yeah, of course. But if I haven't seen a child fall for that wish upon a star bullcrap from Disney of all places, I severely doubt My Little Pony's gonna do any long-lasting damage to them. And yes, I understand this might be considered a little hypocritical, considering I've ragged on some episodes in the past for having some fairly destructive morals, like Some Pony to Watch Over Me or One Bad Apple. The difference here is that those episodes had a moral that was structured in such a way I could actually see them being destructive. Like Some Pony to Watch Over Me, which phrased it in such a way that it sounds like children should actively disobey their parents, and One Bad Apple for not handling the subject of bullying all that well or in every single aspect possible. To be fair, not a lot of episodes can do that, so it's not 100% the episode's fault, but I'm still gonna bitch about it. But what's the worst thing Fluttershy leans and does? Telling children to follow their dreams and that they'll know when they achieve it because the view will be amazing, that your friends can help you do this dream no matter what, that all experts are important, but if they're gonna actively go against you and not even try to compromise, that they're not worth your time. And finally, the more I think they were actually trying to achieve considering it's Fluttershy, that you should not be a doormat, be assertive, and stand up for yourself. So yeah, you can see why I don't think this moral is all that destructive. But look, with all that being said, even though I think it's an overreaction, some of the arguments I do get and understand. Like how the moral should have been about standing up for yourself considering it's Fluttershy. Even though I think that's the moral they were actively going for, it's not exactly what they said, so I can see why people were making that argument. And I will concede that even barring that, the moral could have been phrased a little bit better. But honestly, considering my personal biases and everything that happened in the episode, I still think it's an overreaction. But look, if you honestly do feel that way, don't think I'm ragging on you or hating on you. Because honestly, I'm not. You've already made your opinions on the episode and you have your biases and your opinions. I'm not trying to take that away from you, make you feel bad, or discredit any of them whatsoever. I simply have a different opinion about the moral and I felt like I should bring it up, bring out a different counterpoint to the argument. Because it's important to have different opinions, otherwise things are gonna get stagnant and boring. Sorry if I bored anyone with that little rant, so let's get to the final thoughts. Final thoughts. This is probably one of the best Fluttershy episodes ever. Fluttershy's characterization, the conflict was really good, the humor was on point, the emotions were there. Honestly, overall, I love this episode. So much so that I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 6. I was originally gonna give it a 5.5, but I ended up lamenting and conceding that the moral could have been done a tiny bit better. Again, I still think it's a bit of an overreaction to level people are hating on the moral, but at the same time, I recognize when things could be done better and I'll concede. But until next time guys, I'm the Watcher Pony, and if you don't agree with me, But that's okay, it's important to have different opinions. I'll see you guys next time.
Then you won't let show sing, y'all. You just call on me, bruh.